Welcome to 100 Yards of Football. I'm your host, Vincent Turner. And today we have a special guest in the house as I'm going to start my NFL Draft 2021 prospects. Today we're going to preview the quarterback position with this young man. So if you like the video today, please comment and share it. My guest is a gentleman that I've been knowing for 10 years, and boy, he's came a long way. He's I consider him the best in the business. He's out of Philadelphia, PA. He has one of the top NFL draft sites in the United States and abroad. My man, Eric Galko, of Uppington Scouting Report. So if you like the video today, please come in and share it as we're going to break down the top 5 quarterbacks in the 2020 NFL draft. So how you doing this morning, Mr. Eric Galko?
I'm good, man. It's good to hear from you, man. It's been a long time, but I'm excited to kind of talk to you about some quarterbacks today.
Yes, sir. It's been about 10 years, so I'm going to get the party started because it's NFL draft time. Okay, man, we're going to start with the number 1 selection out of our top 5, the young man from Cartersville, Georgia. I seen this young man win a state championship in the 10th grade, and I can tell you from that day forward, he was going to be a star in the college level and on the next level. His name is Trevor Lawrence out of Clemson University. And before I turn it over to you, I want you to compare him to previous number 1 quarterbacks that came in with the same pedigree. John Elway, Dan Pastorini, Doug Williams, Steve Brokowski. Put him in that realm, and whether you see him, is he the best quarterback in the class?
Yeah, he's the best quarterback in this draft class. And it's funny because even out of high school, talking to most high school quarterback coaches and private quarterback coaches, he wasn't the consensus number 1 guy for most colleges out of college. It's actually Justin Fields, who's maybe the second or third best quarterback in this class. But Lawrence has certainly maximized his big body type, his arm talent, his athleticism to be a plus college quarterback. And I think what's important and what's I think been on display because he was so coveted as a prospect and took over for Kelly Bryant is his growth over his college career. He was a quarterback at Clemson that when he took over for Kelly Bryant towards the end of that first season, I think 4 games into his first season, he started to emerge as a quarterback who could be a game manager and a downfield passer in situations, but really an effective use of all those Clemson weapons in that offensive line. And then in year 2, we saw some real growth and development in terms of taking more chances, but also some educated mistakes he made, right? He was trying to go backside of the play too often. He was not showing development in terms of third down and situational awareness. And it wasn't necessarily bad, but it was showing us signs of growth. And then obviously this year, minus the games missed for COVID, we see that kind of completeness in his game. And I think it's important to know that every quarterback out of college has plenty of warts. Even Andrew Luck, who I think Lawrence compares similarly to, that he had his issues at Stanford as well. I think it's really important always when these guys have to get better. But I think for Lawrence, what makes him special, like when he's number 1 quarterbacks, is that he kind of has the arm talent, the arm strength, the experience in college, but also the clear signs that he's still getting better. And that's what's really important for quarterbacks who want to go top 5, number 1 overall, is you've got to be an elite quarterback that if he starts playing on Sundays tomorrow, he could do it. But it's also the signs that, hey, he can get a lot better, and here's why. I think for Lawrence, you can point to how he gets better. You can also point to why he's better than probably 25 NFL starting quarterbacks right now.
Okay, the number 2 guy on the list, I seen him playing high school as a junior. Not far down the road from Cartersville, Georgia. He went to Harrison High School in the Marietta area out of Cobb County. The young man started his career at the University of Georgia. Then he went over to the Ohio State Buckeyes. And this is the gentleman I think personally in his 2 years is the best quarterback I've seen at Ohio State. When you talk about Rex Kern, Cornelius Green, Dwayne Haskins, Art Sleekster. Let's talk about the young man, Justin Fields.
Yeah, Fields was the number 1 quarterback for most, like I said, most college programs coming out. And I think you could see why very clearly. You watch his high school film and then his time in Georgia, he's got the elite size. He reminds a lot in terms of his body type and the way he's able to run to Cam Newton, who's been a really successful NFL quarterback, but maybe unappreciated during his time based on how the league has shifted more towards athletic quarterbacks who can be power runners as well. We see Taysom Hill and Josh Allen, et cetera. So I think Fields has a prototype that every NFL team really values in quarterbacks now. But Fields has struggled this year. And for us and for me, he's not the number 2 quarterback in this class. But I can see why. And many teams, by the way, disagree with that. They still think he's number 2. And I think if the Jacksonville Jaguars finish with the 2nd overall pick, that's who they're going to be taking. But I think Fields has shown a lot of the upside, the arm talent, the velocity downfield, the running ability. he just hasn't developed in terms of play progression, decision making this season. I think NFL teams were excited about. He hasn't shown much difference from his sophomore year to this year in college. And again, speaking of Lawrence, we saw his progression year to year. I think Fields, we haven't quite seen that. Part of that is due to, I think, the Ohio State offense and how they read defense, how they teach their quarterbacks to read defense is the same issues that JT Barrett and Dwayne Haskins had. It's not to the level of as a concern. It's not Fields. Fields can definitely play, progress, and read the field, but it's just at the same pace I think NFL teams want to see at this point. And the Indiana game, especially this year, showed that. So I think Fields has remarkable upside. His comparables to Cam Newton are all there to watch. And if he's 80% of Cam Newton as a rookie, he's going to win Rookie of the Year and be more impressive than Trevor Lawrence. But I think NFL teams want to know, hey, is this guy going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL in the next 5 to 6 years when he's up for a new contract? I think if he is, and I think for some teams, he absolutely is viewed that way, then he's the second best quarterback in this class. For me, I have some reservations just because I'm not sure where that elite level jump is going to get to. But right now, the running ability, the downfield passing ability, the game management outside of the Indiana game, the ability to throw downfield consistently as well as in the short area, all that stuff makes Fields a pretty special prospect.
The number 3 guy on the list, he's been ascending from BYU. They call him the Mormon, Dan Marino. From a school that's had a Heisman Trophy winner in Ty Depner, Jim McMahon, Steve Young, the young man, Zach Wilson. Where do you see him?
Yeah, Wilson's the number 2 quarterback in this class. And I think for us, he's actually tied with Trevor Lawrence as the best quarterback in this class and talking with teams. And I think what's important for Wilson is you mentioned a little bit, he's been ascending. He's a guy that I think NFL teams and us were not as surprised by who he was coming into the year. We had him as maybe a 3rd round pick. NFL teams were kind of more, a little bit lower, but in the same vein. But what he's shown this year is kind of the educated gunslinger, I call it, and that ability consistently on field. And I think his most comparable 2 players are Pat Mahomes and Kyler Murray because of their ability to attack downfield, to stay calm in the pocket, to improvise without losing balance inside and outside the pocket. Really, really impressive, really rare for a quarterback. And I got a chance to speak with most of the top quarterbacks in this class. I've spoken with Pat Mahomes and Kyler Murray in the past, and I've spoken with Zach Wilson before the year. And you can tell very quickly that he's got a really unique sense for the game, maybe even more so than Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields. There are things that he already knows that you can't teach, and NFL coaches won't be teaching Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields until year 2, year 3 of the NFL. And the example I always use is if you watch BYU and Zach Wilson, he's attacking vertically, taking one-on-one chances, but he's making educated chances that he knows that either it's going to be a catch, an incompletion, or pass interference. And he's able to do that on the move while improvising. It's a really special skill set that matters a lot in the NFL, and you'll see guys like even immobile guys like Phillip Rivers do it on a consistent basis, but Zach Wilson doing it in college with the receivers he has, with the offensive line that's been good, not great this year. I think he's making up for a lot of deficiencies there and showing that he is really a Pat Mahomes-like prospect. So we have Lawrence 1A and Wilson 1B and our number 2 quarterback. And I think there are a lot of teams, maybe outside the Jaguars, maybe the Jaguars will change their mind, who knows, but outside the Jaguars who think Zach Wilson might be one of the 2nd or 3rd quarterback take, I think for sure a top 5 overall pick.
Next guy on the list, he only played 1 game in 2021, but an intriguing prospect to me. Break down the young man from North Dakota State, Mr. Trey Lance.
Yeah, Lance is a pretty unprecedented. There's only been, I think, 5 quarterbacks taken in the 1st round since 2000 who have less than 20 career college starts. And it's not a great track record. Mitch Trubisky, Mark Sanchez, Dwayne Haskins, those guys really haven't made it in the NFL for the most part. Sanchez obviously, had a decent career, but I think what it shows is that how hard it is to develop in the NFL since 2000 as a quarterback. And we know that, hey, most rookie quarterbacks will play, start games, and start significant games in their rookie year. And I'm not sure Trey Lance is ready to do that yet. As a talent, he has that power running ability. You watch him, he reminds a lot of Josh Allen at Wyoming. I compare him to Allen in terms of, hey, if Josh Allen was at an FCS powerhouse instead of Wyoming, this is probably how he would have looked. He's still very raw. The ability to improvise is not quite there, but the arm talent, the running ability, the ability to game manage in a situation is really impressive. But Trey Lance's footwork, his mechanics, the accuracy on the perimeter, the game this year in 2020, he did play against Central Arkansas. He was not very crisp. I think he has a lot of refinement to do. I still think he's going to be somewhere in the first round, just because of the upside and how many teams this year quietly really need long-term quarterbacks. Probably close to 8 or 9 teams are in the market for a long-term quarterback. I think Lance is going to go there. There are a couple teams and offensive coordinators and maybe head coaches that really fit what Lance does best. But I think Lance is going to be a very, very risky mid to late first round pick for some team. And I think there are other quarterbacks in this class I'd be more intrigued by if I really need a quarterback to play soon.
Okay. The fifth guy on the list, Kyle Trask, University of Florida.
Yeah, Trask is for us, not our fifth quarterback. And to be honest, I'm not sure Kyle Trask is an NFL star at any point in his career. I know he's on pace to have a Heisman Trophy winner season. I know his comparable production is to Joe Burrow a year ago, which I thought would never be approached. And he's basically on pace to do so if they had played a full schedule. But Trask is just limited arm talent wise. And he's benefiting from really impressive receivers. He's got 3 receivers on that roster that are going to be NFL picks. Kadarius Toney, maybe a late first round pick. He's got running game. He's got 3 offensive tackles who are NFL players. He's benefited from really beating up on some teams that weren't fully healthy this year. And I think Trask has been impressive for what he's done. But if you isolate the NFL throws and the throws that really matter for his evaluation, the arm strength's not there. He's not a special mobile passer. He's not able to improvise and kind of keep his balance the way Zach Wilson is. He's a game manager who can attack downfield, but is not going to drive the ball like Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields can. And I think it's really important to know that, hey, there's a bar to be an NFL quarterback, and it's not all about arm talent, but if you don't have that baseline level, it's really hard to be a efficient NFL quarterback. I think Trask doesn't have that for us. He's more in this best case scenario. He's Kirk Cousins, and I think it's a really high bar for him to get to. He's more likely to be a long-term NFL backup, maybe a good one at that, and a quarterback I think has been impressive. But even though he's had this great season, for us, he hasn't changed at all since the preseason. He's exactly who he is, playing in an awesome offense with awesome weapons and having a great season. But I think he's a guy that goes somewhere on 3rd, 4th round area that a team hopes hits, but I think he's more likely to be a long-term NFL backup.
2 other players that we're going to talk about, and we're going to end our show today. The young man out of the University of Alabama, Roll Tide. What do you see, Mac Jones?
Yeah, I think Mac's very similar to Kyle. I mean, I think he has a Heisman Trophy campaign coming, and I think he's been really impressed with the Alabama receivers he has this year. But the talent as an NFL quarterback is just not there. I think the arm talent's not there. The red zone ability, which I think shows his lack of great time and anticipation as a quarterback, is not quite there. I think the Tennessee game this year is one that jumps out to me saying, hey, he's not able to finish downfield when he's off balance. The arm talent's not there to drive the ball on those post and corner routes. The red zone ability is not there because he doesn't have a great feel for time and anticipation quite yet. I think all of those reasons to say, hey, Mac Jones is going to be maybe a second, probably more of a 3rd round pick. He's going to have a great college season, but it's clear he's benefited from maybe 3 first round worthy receivers, 4 offensive linemen to be drafted, 2 running backs that might be drafted, an Alabama offense really impressive. Maybe 6 of their 9 games this year have not been close in terms of talent discrepancies. And all that's to say the throws that Mac Jones has had to make have not been as consistent as people might think. So I think Mac Jones, similar to Kyle Trask, and he's a little better in terms of play progression and reading safeties and attacking cover 2 and cover 3 a little better than Trask is, I think, downfield. But both of those guys are going to be maybe drafted in the 2nd, 3rd round because of their production and their relative safeness as prospects, but more likely to be guys that end up being 4th round worthy and being, hey, average backup, spot starter, maybe can develop in the right scheme, but overall will always have to be helped at the NFL to be an adequate starting quarterback.
And the final guy that we're going to talk about today, from the University of Cincinnati, Desmond Ritter.
Yeah, I think Desmond Ritter is one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and I think he's really comparable to Trey Lance. We mentioned him, and I know he's your 4th best quarterback you want to talk about, but Ritter has been really impressive the last 2 years in Cincinnati, actually recruited to Cincinnati by current Cincinnati Bengals head coach Zach Taylor, really an unheralded prospect who's grown both in height as well as in developmental quarterback at Cincinnati. I think the ability to be a dangerous runner, both with power and with speed, the efficiency he's played at this year, he's consistently grown as an accuracy in midfield and downfield. Still not complete there yet, but a guy who's consistently won at Cincinnati, obviously one of the best teams in the country this year, despite being from a non-Power 5 conference. But you see the ascending talent that he's gotten better each year, getting better every 4 or 5 games he plays. I think that upside that he has is really, really impressive. And I think he's going to be probably the fourth or fifth quarterback taken, probably the fifth quarterback taken in this draft class. And I think he has one of the higher ceilings of any quarterback outside the top three.
My final question today, I can talk NFL draft with you all day, Eric, man, because that's why I consider you the best in the business, man. I don't care about nobody else out there. I don't care about the guys on ESPN, but everybody's seeing how special you are. So my final question, man, out of the quarterbacks that we talked about today, I'm going to keep it real. Which quarterback you think can be that phenomenal Pro Bowl player and can win a Super Bowl?
No, I think this class is special in that there's three. I think Lawrence, Fields, and Zach Wilson can all be three of the best quarterbacks we've seen. We've got all three of those guys graded a little bit ahead of Sam Darnold, who was the highest quarterback in the 2017 draft for us, right? So I thought Sam Darnold was going to be special. I still think he could be a really good NFL quarterback, but all three of these guys do things a little bit differently, a little bit better than Sam Darnold did at USC. So all of these guys have a chance. I think Lawrence is kind of a little bit scheme-proof. The Jets are going to have a new head coach for sure, and they're going to have a scheme that's going to benefit him. I hope Justin Fields lands in a spot where that coach can develop him. My hope is that Brian Dable, the Buffalo Bills offensive coordinator, goes to Jacksonville. He can work with Fields the same way he worked with Josh Allen. That'd be a good fit. I think Fields needs a situation that's going to benefit him. Lawrence is a guy that can be scheme-proof, and I think Zach Wilson is going to make a lot of people surprised that he was the third quarterback taken, because he could very well be the next Pat Mahomes, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL by year 2 or 3.
Okay. Give our audience out there 100 yards of football, your contact information and your social media information where we can get more NFL draft news for 2021.
Yeah, I'm since leaving the XFL and now consulting with NFL teams. I can't be as active on social media as I'd like to be, but the Optimum Scouting Twitter account is at Optimum Scouting, and my name on Twitter is at Eric Galko, EricGalko. So appreciate having me on, Vince. It means a lot.
If you like the video today, please comment and share it. As always in my videos, AKA, I'm the baby boy of Chester and Inez Turner from the 901, Memphis, Tennessee. I'd like to say thank you for watching us today here on 100 Yards of Football. And please comment and share the video. Thank you today. And have a wonderful, wonderful week. And start putting your NFL mock drafts together because it's coming.